Hello, BookTube. Believe it or not, I went back to the Brattle Bookshop this morning. It's a used bookstore in the heart of downtown Boston. They have a great shop full of stuff that's constantly overturning because they're out buying all the time. And they also have a sale lot next door, which is sort of my home away from home. Thousands more books, separated only by price, $1, $3, or $5. And it's a lodestone. It's a guide to where I go. I spend most of my time in the sale lot at the Brattle. Not that the prices inside are extortionate at all. It's just the outside has the element of serendipity, right? If you're inside the shop and you're looking for a murder mystery, you know exactly where to look. You have no idea what you're going to find outside or where it's going to be, literally what your eye is going to encounter next. But when I got to the Brattle this morning, I saw that the sale lot was closed. Very bitter when that happens. Some sort of Hollywood hijinks going on, some sort of filming requirement taking precedence over Steve. And the shop inside was really busy too. A whole bunch of the things going on. Employees doing all kinds of things. Which takes the emphasis away from me, which is where I like it to be. But one of the side effects of being so much of a regular that you're practically part of the furniture is that you don't get any special treatment when that happens. I didn't matter how often I petulantly stomped my foot. Everybody just kept on working. But I still managed to find a pile of books, even though the sale lot was off limits. No sale lot. Not even the sale carts. Sometimes when I get to the Brattle, it has in the time between when I leave my front door and when I get there, rain has started, and they have brought the carts in out of the elements. When that happens, it's a bit of a disappointment, but the carts are still accessible. They're just in the aisles of the shop. But in this case, no. The carts were outside, but inaccessible. So I had to shop in the bookstore like a normal person, and I still managed to find a large number of things. So I thought we'd go over them today. We've got 3 mass markets to start with. One is a hit by anybody's measure. I don't think it's in print anymore, but it was in print for a long time. It's Daniel Mannix's book, Those About to Die. It's his. You've seen this, I'm sure, but you might have seen it in any kind of mass market paperback. I've never seen this cover before, for instance. I've had this 6 or 7 times. This is his book about the Roman gladiatorial games. It's been in print forever. 1 million people have read this thing. But I hadn't had a copy in quite some time. The last mass market paperback copy that I had was really ugly. It wasn't like this. And it was also really flimsy. It gave out on me. It fell apart. We'll see how long this one lasts. I was happy to find it. I'm sure that I will find other copies. Then the next 2 are mass market murder mysteries. I love murder mysteries. So I found this was back in the aughts, I believe, or maybe the 90s. The 90s, yes. In the 90s, Penguin did a series of green spine mass market paperbacks of the mysteries of Robert Barnard. This is the Bad Samaritan. I was hoping if I saw this there, I was hoping that they would have his first book, Death of an Old Goat. But the Bad Samaritan is in some ways, I think, my favorite of his books. And the most, I almost want to say ambitious. They're murder mysteries, but they've got a good deal of brain behind them, which is really nice. I haven't read this since the mid-1990s, so I was happy to find this. It's still got the sheen on it. It's in perfect condition. And then this next one is an ongoing murder mystery series. Maybe a lot of you have read these. I have never managed to read one of these. The books are by W.J. Burley, and they're the Inspector Wycliffe murder mysteries. Wycliffe of Scotland Yard. This is Wycliffe and the Scapegoat. I've seen these everywhere in used bookstores. They're in all kinds of cover designs. I've never actually seen this cover before. But I've seen all kinds of others. And always been tempted. And never got around to it. Any of you familiar with this murder series? Any of you really like this? The premise here is certainly good. A little seaside town in England that has an age-old custom where they tie a dummy to a burning wheel and roll the wheel down a hill into the harbor as a kind of ritual scapegoat. It's designed to. It's a modern day carnival ritual designed to bring good luck to the town, but it has its origins in a medieval ceremony in which it was a real person that was tied to the wheel. And as this mystery begins, that ceremony has happened, but it was a real person who was tied to the wheel and died. And Wycliffe is called in to investigate. And I don't know what I'm getting into here. I'll read this tonight and find out. I admit it could be that this becomes a series that I really, really like. So those are the mass market paperbacks, but then I have a trade paperback as well that I simply couldn't pass up. I don't know if I'll hold on to this, but I had to get it. This is from Liverpool University Press. It's by Mike Ashley, and it's called The Time Machines, the story of the science fiction pulp magazines from the beginning to 1950. I could not pass that up. Let's see what we have here. The History of the Science Fiction Magazine, Volume 1, The Time Machine. So there might have been a Volume 2 to this. The Time Machines is the first of 3 volumes, which chart the history of the science fiction magazine from the earliest days to the present. This first volume looks at the exuberant years of pulp magazines. It traces the growth and development of the science fiction magazines from when Hugo Gernsback launched the first, Amazing Stories, in 1926, through to the birth of the atomic age and the death of the pulps in the early 1950s. These were the days of the youth of science fiction, when it was brash, raw, and exciting. The days of the first great space operas by Edward Elmer Smith and Edmund Hamilton, through the cosmic thought variants of Murray Leinster, Jack Williamson, and others, to the early 1940s, when John W. Campbell at Astounding did his best to nurture the infant genre into adulthood. I have never read this, but it's right up my alley. I've never read this, but I've read a huge amount of the people who will be mentioned in here. This is fantastic. I wonder if it has illustrations. It doesn't seem to have any pictures at all, and I don't know of the other 2 volumes. Again, do any of you know? Is this a famous series? And are Volume 2 and Volume 3 good? I only saw this one. I didn't think that it even was Volume 1. Maybe Volume 2 was looking me right in the face and I didn't see it. Then this next one is Ancient History. It's a book that I have never actually read. This is going to be a treat. I've only read about it, and I've read little bits and pieces, chunks that might be in a review or whatnot. Never actually thought that I would encounter the whole book, but I did, in perfect condition. This is by H.A. Drake, and it is Constantine and the Bishops. A big study of how and why the Emperor Constantine embraced Christianity. How that happened on the governmental, the municipal, even the local level, and why it happened. The characterization of this book, in reviews of it and essays about it and whatnot, is that Drake looks at this as very much an element of realpolitik. Let's not talk too much about Constantine having any kind of religious experience. Let's talk about how convenient this was for him bureaucratically. But the whole thing, I'd never read the whole thing, the whole considered argument. That's terrific. It was terrific to find it. Terrific also to find this thing, this next one. This is old. This is from the 1930s, I think, or the 1940s. 1936. This is A Book Hunter's Holiday, Adventures with Books and Manuscripts by A.S.W. Rosenbach. Such a wonderful thing. This also goes high on the list of things to read right away. Let's see what we have here. When Dr. Rosenbach writes about books and manuscripts, he describes not only the subjects in which he is an international authority, but reveals between the lines his own personal history, the delight he has experienced in his life as a book collector. In his new book, he wanders leisurely, adventurously, exactly as one hopes to do on a perfect holiday. The chapters are varied in subject, alike in their fascination with the book lover. Among the subjects covered are Letters We Ought to Burn, which is about a delightful chapter on rare and indiscreet love letters, old mystery books, The Trail of Scarlet Extra Extra, the story of the broadside which led directly to our modern tabloid, earliest Christmas books, Mighty Women Book Hunters, The Libraries of the Presidency of the United States, and Munchausen and Co., an amusing expose of the frailties of certain legendary characters. Fantastic. It's adjacent to my love of books and reading. It's not quite my world. I'm not a book collector in this way, in the sense of someone looking for rare or valuable editions or book inclinabula, that sort of thing. I collect books only in the sense of I know what I like, and I like to assemble what I like. But I still love reading about these adventures. Absolutely. I have a whole bunch of books like this. When I read this one, and it strikes me, it's got all the right vibrations as a book that I know I'm going to enjoy. Probably some of you, maybe you book collectors out there, know this person. If he's written a lot of books, probably you know all about him. Maybe you know some of these adventures. I can't wait to read this book. And then the last thing that we'll show you, I have mentioned many times before that the Brattle is often, among many other of its delights, a place for second chances. You can find something there, I can find something there that I read, formed an opinion on, and then dispensed with weeks ago, months ago, decades ago. And maybe that thing has dug at my mind. Maybe I've thought I didn't give it enough credit, or I went into it with an axe to grind. Maybe I need to reconsider it. Sometimes, more rarely, I loved the thing and I got rid of it anyway. So I can't wait to have it back. This next one, I read it. I eagerly awaited it. I read it. I think we talked about it on this channel. And I don't think I gave it as fair a shake as I should have, mainly because of the people who read this author. This is William Gass. And this is a beautiful volume. Who did this? Knopf did this. This is the William Gass Reader. Beautiful thing with deckled edges. Really heavy, big, thick thing. That is a selection of Gass's fiction and nonfiction throughout his career. And I think I may have given this collection as a collection, not so much Gass himself, but this as an anthology. I think I might have given it short shrift because he is so worshipped by dude bros. He is such an dude bro author. The leather-bound books, the gears that you know by size and that you're willing to talk about. The yellow legal pads, the composing by hand on yellow legal pads, the red checkered tablecloth, the inventorying, the particular prose line. Gass has it, Gaddis has it, a whole bunch of other people have it. A particular prose line that walks right up to the edge of simple, incomprehensible gibberish and then just sort of stays there, right on the borderline between gibberish and just self-satisfied bloviation. It was a kind of dude bro borderland that the ground was originally laid by people like Lionel Trilling. But it's a popular way to talk now, a popular way to write now, is to write something that seems like it's almost about something, but it's really just, no pun intended, gaseous. It's meant for famously aimless and very biddable young men between the ages of 18 and 25 to latch onto it as profound, man. Really profound. And for that, you don't want Raymond Chandler writing about how the world of books and the book business actually works. They won't embrace him. They might embrace the drinking and the smoking and the womanizing, but they won't embrace his prose because it's too clear. It says what it wants to say. It's meant to be read and understood. They rather go for the gaseous people. And it doesn't get much more gaseous than Gass. And I think I was thinking about that too much when I originally considered this book. This was from, actually I can figure out if we saw this on this channel, because it was either right before we started talking to each other or immediately after. No, 2018. So we saw this on this channel, back in the hinterlands. I saw this at the Brattle. I immediately thought, a little guiltily, I need to give you another try. I need to forget about the people who like you and give you another try. Not the author, but this anthology. So I will do that. I was there. Fate obviously intended it to happen. This was in the shop. I would not have seen it if the sale carts had been open and I was free to buy Thongor and the Maidens of the Moon, then I wouldn't have bothered with this thing. I wouldn't have seen it, so I wouldn't have had a little prodding to give it a second chance. I'm going to give it a second chance. I should not hold Dude Bro readers against this author in case he has something to tell me. So there you go. It's a Brattle haul without the sale carts. We have the William Gass Reader. We have a Book Hunter's Holiday. We have Constantine and the Bishops. Very happy to see this. We have the Time Machines. About Volume 1, and apparently a 3-volume history of science fiction magazines. We have Wycliffe and the Scapegoat, The Bad Samaritan, there's the devil eating pizza, and Those About to Die by Mannix, his very famous book about gladiators that has had 1 million reprints. So a pile of books, the last pile of Brattle books for this week. Not bad, considering that I didn't have the infinite plenitude of the outside sale lot. Not bad. So I'll wrap this up here. That was my Brattle visit for the day. No more Brattle visits this week, but I will be back. Thank you, BookTube.